When words become weapons, I will guarantee you it's the left's hate speech playbook. They put forth violent rhetoric and then they sit back and deny and actually blame others. In fact, I've got a theory that I've had for the last near 40 years. If you want to find out what the left, the Democratic Party, is actually doing, look at who they're blaming and what they are blaming those people for. And I can almost guarantee you that is the left, the Democratic Party, doing it. So let's explore that just a little bit. Give me some time. Every time a conservative speaks out, the left rolls out the same script. Nazi, fascist, Hitler, you've heard it. And they claim it's just rhetoric. But when you dehumanize your political opponents, when you label your neighbors as Nazis, you are telling unstable people that violence is justified. Hillary Clinton says the violence is coming from the right. She said we need to tone down the rhetoric, and then she turns and blames conservatives and Republicans for the violence. She doesn't care who the shooter was that killed Charlie Kirk or who is behind Antifa, even though it's the Democratic Party partially. She doesn't care, but she's going to blame the right. But did you know that history and recent bloodshed, it really proves otherwise? So today, I'm going to expose the coordinated hate speech of the left from politicians, celebrities, and the mainstream media and show how their words have fueled real violence in my beloved United States of America. So let's look at some of them. Maxine Waters. Let me give you real quotes from these people. Maxine Waters, that person who isn't even qualified to be a dog catcher, sits in Congress and says some really horrible, hateful things. And I guess we can forgive her because, she's getting up in age. Kind of like a weird Biden. What she said, quote, create a crowd, push back on them, tell them they're not welcome anywhere. Well, thank you, Maxine. Chuck Schumer standing on the steps of the Supreme Court, and he said, quote, you won't know what hit you. And he aimed it directly at Justices Gorsuch and Kavanaugh, which actually led to an attempt on one of those Supreme Court justices' lives. Joe Biden said, quote, if we're in high school, I'd take him behind the gym and beat the hell out of him. Oh, come on, Joe. A slight breeze would knock you down. Let's look at Ayanna Pressley. She said, quote, there needs to be unrest in the streets. Eric Holder. When they go low, we kick them. That's quote, end quote. You know, this isn't an accident. It's a pattern. Democratic leaders normalizing aggression, softening the culture for violence. Terrible. And by the way, and I may put this on my Patreon account when I started, I've got a list of all the violence that's come about directly tied to Democrats and the left for the last 160 years from the time of Abraham Lincoln's assassination. Yeah, and it's quite a long list, so I'm not going to make it available here. We'll maybe put it out elsewhere, but you'll get enough on this particular video where you can look maybe at the mainstream media, your favorite celebrity, your politicians a little bit differently, and begin to read between the lines. So let's turn to their echo chamber. Oh boy, on The View. Whoopi Goldberg, you know, that famous whoopee cushion. She linked conservative students at a TPUSA event to neo-Nazis. Joy Behar piled on, calling it right out of Goebbels' Playbook. Remember Goebbels going all the way back to Hitler's time? No. ABC later had to actually issue legal disclaimers. The View. Whoopi also infamously claimed, get this, the Holocaust was not about race. She was suspended for the remark. In other words, she wanted to give an excuse to Hitler and the Nazis who murdered 6 million Jews. Race? Religion? On MSNBC, Mehdi Hassan tells viewers, quote, call it fascism. She doesn't know what fascism means. Joe Scarborough, quote, it's time that fascism is called fascism. Yes, Joe, you're kind of a fascist. And I don't want a morning cup of Joe. Well, I'll drink tea. On CNN, Don Lemon said Trump voters are, quote, on the side of Klansmen and Nazis. Remember him? He helped perpetuate the myths of a certain African American celebrity fakely getting lynched. Fakely, not even a real word, but I guess we can use it for the left. Jimmy Kimmel. Oh, you know, they call Jimmy Kimmel a comedian, but I swear that a comedian kind of means they're funny. Jimmy Kimmel's not. But after Clerk's assassination, he mocked conservatives as desperate to spin the shooter's motives, downplaying a political killing as a chance to score jokes. None of the jokes were funny, but basically he was blaming MAGA for what his side was doing. Chris Matthews, he once compared Bernie Sanders' victory as the Nazi invasion of France. Now that's interesting because Bernie Sanders, of course, is a social communist, but, you know, they didn't want him to be president. They wanted Hillary Clinton. Look at MSNBC, mostly stupid, narcissistic bullcrap. Has even run split-screen visuals overlaying Trump rallies with footage of Nazi rallies from 1939. Weird. And then there's Hollywood. Oh, yes. Madonna said, quote, I've thought an awful lot about blowing up the White House. Johnny Depp. Oh, gotta love this one, right? Quote, when was the last time an actor assassinated a president? Maybe it's time, end quote. Kathy Griffin holding a mock severed Trump head. And then, of course, complaining that she was being chastised by people who didn't like her doing that. Robert De Niro. You might remember Robert De Niro. He was the star of the movie Raging Bull. And apparently he likes the sequel better, Raging Bullshit. Robert De Niro said, quote, I'd like to punch Trump in the face. And forgive me for using foul language. I don't talk that way. Peter Fondiff, let me see if I remember this correctly. He tweeted about ripping Barron Trump from his mother's arms. And I think he said, put Barron Trump in a cage with predators. Oh, great. Snoop Dogg, in a music video, staging a mock execution of a Trump lookalike. Now, folks, this is not harmless satire. When celebrities and networks normalize this language, millions of people absorb it as truth. And it puts a target on the back of entirely innocent people, but that's their plan. So we can look at James Hodgkinson, a Bernie Sanders volunteer. He opened fire at a Republican baseball game. Well, actually, it was a mixed baseball game. And he shot Steve Scalise, nearly killing him. Guy was a leftist. Michael Reinoehl, who called himself 100% Antifa. He murdered a conservative in Portland, Oregon. Nicholas Roske, he traveled with a gun to assassinate Justice Kavanaugh after Democrats painted the Supreme Court as illegitimate. Remember Chucky Schumer? I wonder if his wife likes to be the bride of Chucky. Look at William Spronsen. He firebombed an ICE facility in Tacoma. How about Jane's Revenge? Targeted pro-life pregnancy centers across the country after Dobbs and torched them. That was, again, the left. All of these are the left and Democrats. Each of these cases followed waves of rhetoric, portraying conservatives, Christians, and Jews as fascists, Nazis, enemies of democracy, when the true enemies are the ones that are speaking this crap. Look at Clinton, Newsom, AOC, Jasmine Crockett, the media. They lecture us about toning down the temperature, but they are the arsonist. Yeah, they think you could just go up on the wall and do let's say a non-functioning thermostat and turn it over when it actually goes up. They scream Nazi and fascist. They call conservatives Hitler. And when unstable people act on that hate, they deny responsibility for what they are doing. They are sort of the American version of Hamas. Yeah, they're a domestic terrorist. And, this is the very tactic of fascism itself. Dehumanize your enemy, then justify violence. The irony is chilling. And we can take, Mr. Gavin Newsom, one of the most notorious liars and narcissists and psychopaths in the country. He's working or has been working on passing a bill making ICE, who he has no control over, by the way, unmask themselves. So why? So that they could be hunted down, doxxed, and murdered. Now, this is the same reprehensible human being who doesn't deserve to be the governor of a state that was once beautiful. He ruined it. We can look at other people who've ruined it as well, but Gavin Newsom, Karen Bass, their ideas hold about as much water as a reservoir that was empty when we had the Palisades fire. They justify violence, and the irony, folks, is absolutely chilling. But Gavin Newsom is the same guy who insisted that everybody wear masks in California during the pandemic. Now, of course, it didn't apply to him. It didn't apply to Nancy Pelosi. It didn't apply to a lot of the leading communist Democrats, socialists, narcissists, and psychopaths on the left. No, they can get away without wearing masks, but you got to wear a mask. But they want to unmask ICE. ICE ought to just go in then and say, hey, we're making sure we don't spread COVID-19, that Fauci-inspired disease. All right, now, look, they claim violence is coming from the right. But, folks, the record is absolutely clear. Now, that doesn't mean you can't find a little tiny bit of stuff coming from the right. In fact, you'll look at ADL and a couple of others who have come out and said the majority of the violence here in the United States is caused by white right-wing people, and this has been disproven over and over again. It is totally, absolutely false. They will print lies and call it truth, and guess what? The sheep out there will follow this stuff and go, if it's published, it must be true. Well, guess what, folks? It's not. The truth is what I'm telling you right now. It's clear. Their words, their hate speech, their reckless smears, it's what fuels bloodshed, folks. Words matter and lies kill. Now, if you believe this truth needs to be told, share this video, subscribe if you're on YouTube, follow if you're on Rumble, share it on X, share it, get it out to everywhere, and if you disbelieve it, challenge me. Prove me wrong. In the spirit of Charlie Kirk, that late and beloved cultural icon who was killed by a left-winger, prove me wrong. I dare you. And you want to know something? The left won't do that. What they do instead, they kind of, it's like those drive-by freeway shootings in California. Again, kind of fomented by the left. They will shout at me, call me insults, and threaten to kill me. Yeah, I've got them. I've got the quotes from TikTok where I have been threatened. They're going to kill me. All because they cannot rebut what I'm saying. Now, they'll say, you're a liar. That's not true. But they don't offer evidence. You know why? Because the evidence isn't there. I just gave you the real evidence. It is the left. And, the next time the left screams Nazi, someone unhinged will be listening. And the next victim could be you. It could be your neighbor. And this is not just politics. This is life and death. Anyway, I'm going to close out there. Insight with Stuart White is the name of this channel. Like, follow, subscribe, comment, share, do the whole thing. We've got to get the word out if you truly want to tone down the temperature, then maybe we need to start facing down those who are turning the thermostat way beyond its capabilities. They're the arsonists bringing fuel to the fire that they started. Now, I'll tell you what, I'm going to say goodbye. We've got more coming up later, and maybe even a special deal on the world's #1 whoopee cushion. Stay tuned.